And here on the show, we strive to help our kababayans not just to survive here in the U.S., but also to thrive. And one of the main things that we need to sort out pagdating po dito sa Amerika ay ang ating mga documentation pagdating sa immigration. And we try to break down the rules for you here on the show through our American Dream.
This American Dream segment is brought to you by Aquino & Low Law Firm, answering your immigration questions.
Joining us regularly here on Kababayan LA, Attorney Allison Aquino of Aquino & Low. Hello and welcome to Kababayan LA.
Hi, Janelle.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay, and it's also happy because it's happy news in terms of immigration. There are some things going on, another development that might help a lot of our kababayans.
Exactly. It was a perfect way to start the new year. Leapfrogging from last year where the administration started making some significant changes to immigration. This year, they started the year with a big announcement regarding the way unlawful presence waivers are going to be processed.
Okay.
And essentially their big announcement, which was about a week ago, they indicated that they would now be processing unlawful presence waivers while a person is here in the United States, rather than while the person is outside, away from their family.
All right, tatagalugin ko na po kasi paminsan nakakalito, especially with immigration. Sino ba ang kailangan ng unlawful presence waiver?
So the unlawful presence waiver applies to individuals who are here in the United States. If they're here unlawfully for at least 180 days and then depart the U.S., they're subject to a 3-year unlawful presence bar. If a person is unlawfully present in the U.S. for at least 1 year and then leaves the United States, they're subject to a 10-year unlawful presence bar.
Okay. So ito yung mga namomroblema sa yung mga tinatawag na living here na undocumented.
TNT.
And if they leave, yeah, TNT. So if they leave or forced sila to go back to the Philippines, there is a bar.
Exactly.
And what is this new law? Essentially, is this a law or?
No, it's not a law. It's just a different procedure. And
okay.
That's why this is significant, because this is something that can be implemented right away because it's not a new law.
Okay.
And so under this procedure, like I said, it takes care of a few things because it allows a person to process while they're still here with their family.
Okay, so they don't have to go back to the Philippines?
Well, not until everything is done.
Okay, okay. And then you mentioned something about processing here in the Philippines and then?
Well, processing here in the U.S. And so we were talking about the unlawful presence waiver and why it's going to, why this is so significant. And so essentially the unlawful presence waiver, as I point out, kicks in when a person leaves the United States. Okay. It does not apply to people who apply for adjustment of status here in the U.S. And so the question is, why would a person leave?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so some people need to leave because they're ineligible. They just cannot apply for adjustment of status here in the U.S.
Okay.
Okay. So the people who cannot apply for adjustment of status are essentially those, for example, who enter as crewmen or people who enter as C1 in transit, or, for example, some people just lose their passport or they have it taken away from them, for example.
Okay.
So individuals who are not eligible to adjust status, the only way that they can legalize is by leaving the U.S. and going to an embassy overseas.
Oh, okay. And so before, the concern was if you leave the U.S. and you go back to the Philippines, first of all, you're not sure that it's going to be granted there.
Correct.
And secondly, you wait a long time. And especially if you're a breadwinner here, your family is left to, take care of themselves and all that. So all these problems, right?
Exactly. And so a lot of people, they don't want to take the risk. They're stuck here in the United States. They can't adjust their status. So even though they're married to a U.S. citizen, or even if they have a child who's a U.S. citizen, or if they're a U.S. citizen parent wanting to petition their child, they're stuck
right
here in the U.S. and they can't do anything. And so under this policy, what the person can do, individuals who are immediate relatives can now go ahead and process this unlawful presence waiver while they're here in the United States, whereas previously they needed to leave the take that risk of leaving the U.S.,
okay,
go back to the Philippines, and then wait and see if their waiver is going to be granted.
So now that we have this, what are the requirements for applying for an unlawful presence waiver?
Okay. So the main requirement is that they have a qualifying relative who is a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
The unlawful presence waiver is actually allowable to someone who has either a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident qualifying relative. But under this new procedure, the only ones who will be eligible to take advantage of it are those with a U.S. citizen qualifying relative, not a permanent resident.
Okay.
Secondly, the sponsorship has to fall under the immediate relative category. So it does not apply to all family-based petitions, only particular family-based petitions.
And what are those? Father to child?
U.S.
child
citizen parent to an unmarried minor child.
Okay.
A U.S. citizen spouse to their spouse.
Okay.
And a U.S. citizen child petitioning a parent.
Okay. So no other, like brother, sister cannot.
Exactly.
Okay.
Nor employment-based petitions.
Okay. And so why is this important? And I know that is there a sense of urgency? Are you urging people now to do it like right now and take care of all this? And how long do they have to wait?
There isn't really a sense of urgency other than the fact that a lot of these people, they've been stuck because they haven't been able to do anything. You know, you're married to a U.S. citizen and you feel helpless because you're here, you're married to a U.S. citizen, you may have many children who are U.S. citizens, and you can't do anything simply because you entered as a crewman or simply because you don't have your documents showing how you entered the United States.
Right.
And so rather than a sense of urgency, I think it's a sense of hope. You know, now they do have this capacity to move forward with their applications. They do have the capability of moving forward with this waiver application and not taking the risk, because under this new process, they will know ahead of time if the waiver is granted.
Oh, that's good. Kaya naman po, we are also encouraging all of you, yung may ganito pong problema, yan po ang numero ng Aquino and Low Law Firm, si Attorney Allison Aquino po. Siya po mismo makakausap nyo, or si Attorney Richard Lowe. That's the number on the screen. Go and get your appointment now. Thank you so much and more power to you. Magbabalik pa po ang Kababayan LA. Don't go away.